Oh, boy, the fightin's last night. The fightin's. Yikes. That didn't go so well. Thank God I've got football season.
I was so sad.
To channel my energies into.
So sad.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. Friday night, comedy night at Parks Casino, Shippensburg. Maybe I can go there and have a few laughs and forget what happened with the fightins and the New York team in Queens. The headliner. Oh, this sounds awesome. Ventriloquist and comedian Gemini Lombardi from Amazon Prime. Saturday Night Live music with the rock and alternative trio named No Can Do. It's a good name for a band, No Can Do. But I'd rather see the ventriloquist. Been a long time since I've seen a ventriloquist.
You like magicians and ventriloquists.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Plus, a big football weekend, and the BetPark Sportsbook and online casino is right inside the side pocket in person at Parks Casino in Shippensburg. The BetParks app as well. Perfect time in the fall to take a drive to central Pennsylvania if you're in Hagerstown, Winchester, Chambersburg, Martinsburg, and many, many more. Get lucky in no time at all at Pennsylvania's newest casino. Parks Casino Shippensburg is also smoke-free. Less than an hour from Harrisburg, the state capital, 500 state-of-the-art slots, 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, and more. Great happy hour daily at 4 p.m. It's 4 p.m. somewhere. Bet sports and watch all the action at the side pocket. Get in on the action. Visit parkscasino.com. Got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from the Thursday edition of the Smerconish.com daily newsletter. Yesterday, good voting, 32,658. Would you consider the prevalence of extreme weather in determining where to live? I asked yesterday as we were awaiting Hurricane Milton. Now it's exited off the east coast of Florida. Kind of still too early to know the extent of the damage of this storm, but we had not only good voting, but a really great conversation. And I was taken aback, TC, by how many people said, I've already factored this in.
Yes.
I've already moved. I've already this, that, or the other thing.
We weren't sure what we were going to get when we opened up the phone lines, and people called in, not just from the Florida and from the southern area where obviously all eyes are on today, but from all over the country saying, I was here and now I'm there, or I'm not going to move there, or I changed my mind, or now I'm done. I mean, we had people that were evacuating as they were calling us, which was really dramatic. It was quite an hour yesterday, I thought.
Yesterday's result was not a yes. It was a hell yes. Because when 96.21% said yes, would you consider the prevalence of extreme weather in determining where to live? Today's poll question, must Kamala Harris do more to differentiate herself from Joe Biden in order to win? From The Hill today, Amy Parnes, who's been a guest on this program several times, writes, Democrats' nerves are at an all-time high. 2 months ago, even a month ago, they were feeling bullish about Vice President Harris's prospects of defeating former President Trump. But now, with less than a month to go until Election Day, they're increasingly worried about a number of issues plaguing the Democratic nominee's campaign. And then it goes on to talk about her recent media, quote-unquote, blitz on Tuesday, The View, Howard, Colbert. How did that all work out for her? Dems are concerned, and some are saying she's got to have a better answer to differentiate herself from President Biden. I note that the Real Clear Politics average today shows in the national polls, it's Harris +2. Remember, 2 was the margin of Secretary Clinton against Donald Trump in 2016. It wasn't enough. And look, if you're watching us on YouTube, on the screen, in the battleground states, it's Trump +0.3. Maybe you find the betting markets more reliable. 52% Real Clear Politics betting odds favoring Donald Trump. So close race, that's the bottom line. And remember what I told you yesterday about the New York Times Siena College poll, which said that on the change issue, meaning which of the two is a change agent, it's Harris 46, Trump 44. That's the first time that she's been perceived, despite being an incumbent vice president, now as between the two. And I'm sure it's age related, perceiving Trump and Biden together as like the old guys. Let's move on to something fresher and new. Harris is seen as the change agent. So maybe she doesn't have to differentiate herself because according to that metric, it's working well what she's doing. Go vote at Smerconish.com on that question. Must Kamala Harris do more to differentiate herself from Joe Biden? Another story today pertaining to the vice president from NBC under the headline that we used, Glocked and Loaded. Harris is... You like that?
Glocked and
Thank
loaded.
you. Yeah.
Good one.
If this gig doesn't work out for me, I can go to the New York Post and find employment.
Yes. Headless man, topless bar.
Headless man in topless. Hey, by the way, Sam wrote one of the headlines today on Rafael Nadal. We'll get to it later, having retired. And I thought maybe it was a spelling thing, Sam. I was going to correct you. You said Rafa to retire, but that was deliberate on your part, right? Unmute and tell me your thinking there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big tennis fan, so I saw that news and I was like, this has to get in there. So maybe I'm biased, but...
Is that how you refer to him, Rafa?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how he's kind of talked about by those who love him, so...
And
I thought it was more catchy that way.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like taking some liberties with the headlines is what I'm trying to say. So feel free to continue to do that. Back to Glocked and Loaded. Vice President Kamala Harris revealed this week it's a Glock that she owns, a weapon that is restricted for purchase in California amid a court battle over the state's gun laws. I have a Glock. I've had it for quite some time, she said. This was in the 60 Minutes interview. My background is in law enforcement. She said that she has fired the weapon at a shooting range. Campaign spokesperson told NBC that it's the same gun that she mentioned owning in 2019 during her previous run for president and that it's in a secure location in her home in California. Thought that was interesting. Speaking of the vice president, Steve Breen drew for us today. Storm-related cartoon. It's the vice president. She's waving a banner that says politics, and instead of first responder, it says worst responder. I'm sure some will look at that cartoon and say it's not the vice president who's deserving of the criticism for playing politics in the storm, but it's Donald Trump, right?
Well, it's a snapshot of some thinking in this moment of time, which is why it is so good. Totally.
And instead of remembering, when there was a month to go, there was this horrific storm in Florida. It's like, there it is in the cartoon.
Right. And because I am getting calls from people in my orbit saying, does FEMA have enough money? I mean, obviously,
it went to the Haitians.
Correct. From a certain portion of the population, this rings true.
Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of editorial cartoons, may I show another photograph for the benefit of those watching us on YouTube?
So good.
And if you've never watched us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube. That is the money shot.
It's so good. I feel like it's from a movie, truly.
So
I said to you yesterday, it's like the beginning of a movie credit where they're printing.
I love this picture. This photograph is yours truly on the floor of the brilliant facility in the suburbs of Philadelphia, actually Exton, PA. Bob Terzak is the president, and that is me holding in my hand one of the first book jackets to be printed for Smercomics.
So fun.
They were all printed yesterday. Now, Bob tells me there's already confusion. I can't believe this is true of our audience, but that there's confusion with me posting in social media photographs of the printing process and describing what's going on with the book, that some are actually, TC, reaching out for him and saying, oh, okay, well, how soon do I get it?
Yes.
No, we've not printed the books, gang. We can't print all the books because the election's still going on. Remember, the premise here is that we're doing as much on the front end as we possibly can so that as soon as the election is over and we're assembling all the cartoons, the remaining cartoons will roll off the presses and we will dispatch them as quickly as we can. So what can we do in advance? We can print the book jacket. We can print probably 2/3 of the pages of the book. Can I tell you something that I learned in the printing plant yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to reach for my banned book. It'll help me explain.
What do you mean your banned book?
Well, there's only one of those that was banned.
What? Oh, your banned book?
Yeah.
It wasn't banned.
So I'm holding
frowned upon.
Oh, good. Thank you, Aleko, for the benefit of those on camera too. I don't know if this will show up.
Camera two.
If you look very carefully at the binding of your book, what you're going to notice is, and my finger's pointing to it now on Flying Blind. Why can't I get it straight? There I am. So what you're going to notice is book pages, TC, are not printed one at a time. It's not as if you print every single page. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm yes.
Are you distracted or are you with me?
I'm distracted by YouTube chatter saying I'm misrepresenting. It's not
forget
right.
YouTube chatter.
Okay.
Focus on the
you.
host.
Nancy, you got to focus on him.
Yeah. So in a book, if you were to open up the spine of any, you have books behind you, but trust me on this.
Okay.
There's a word for this. I don't know what it is, but there are clusters of pages. You don't print a book page by page by page. You print a book in like sheaths of 16 pages. Okay. With me?
With you.
So we are able to print several of the groupings. Our book is 300 pages, give or take. So we are able to print in sort of the bundles of all the editorial cartoons through where we are now. And then Bob has to kind of stop the presses, put off to the side 10,244 copies of the jacket and all of the inserts, and then when the final piece
That's what I was
is
just
there,
thinking about the last 16, the last bundle.
it gets smushed together.
That's so cool.
Okay, and bound, and I have to say, we didn't skimp. The cost of the book is remarkably low for the quality of it. We didn't skimp on anything. There were words being thrown around and decisions being made. Thank God for Buzz Teacher and Alex Camlin, the designer, and Greg Jones.
I've heard your half of conversations. I'm like, what are they talking about?
So often I was simply saying, guys, I'm out of my depth. I don't know.
Right.
Make the decisions.
Right.
You know better. They made all the right decisions because now I have seen like the mortar, the thickness of the book, the imprint, when you take off the jacket, when you take, like on Flying Blind, the band book, there's no imprint when you take it off. It does say
there? Yes, in gold.
But wait until you see it on the jacket. So it's beautiful.
I can't wait.
And by the way, Aleko, can you pipe in here? Because Aleko came with me yesterday from Creative, and thank God we did this. He recorded me walking onto the floor of the printing place, brilliant, and seeing the book spitting off the
that is
Aleko,
the coolest thing.
Help me describe how cool that was yesterday.
It was really neat. I mean, like, aside from it being Smerconish, my background's design. I'd never seen a printing press so large and
huge.
How they mass manufacture these things. They have, what was it, 6, 7 colors that they were going down the line, printing each side. It was really neat. It was really cool.
And then at the end of the line is a quality control fellow. I wish I knew his name, with a special eyeglass.
No.
So
like the Inspector Gadget?
So here's what I want you to know. Aleko and Randy and the gang at Creative shot this video and are turning it around quickly to put in my social media so that people can watch what we saw yesterday.
Sure.
Okay? What you're going to see is when the book jacket comes off the press, and they print them 2 at a time. When it comes off the press, now it goes on to another machine, and electronically, the machine scans it. And they do this like every couple, they'll pull one off and look at it because the computer scans it for the color coding to make sure it's perfect. And then there's a guy in quality control who brings out like a spyglass, and then he does this so that his naked eye can pick up any imperfections.
That's amazing.
It was astounding.
Yeah.
It was astounding.
It's really exciting. And what's cool is that when we get these in the mail, when we get our copies in the mail, we'll know the backstory. We'll be able to picture what was printed. That's awesome.
Final thing I want to say about Smercomics, and then I'll move on. It's this. When this video that Aleko is going to crank out today with Randy and PJ and Alex, when it's finished and it's on the street, if there were opportunity, and there isn't, there would be another 10,244 sold like that.
Oh no!
Because when
it's
you
the
get
ultimate,
no
it's the ultimate.
TC, when you see the quality of it, it's awesome.
Well, no one's regretting.
It's awesome.
No one's regret. There's no purchase regret. Right. You know what I mean? There's nothing like that.
I think
there's no buyer's remorse.
I think Flying Blind you can pick up on Amazon for 54 cents per copy right now.
Because it's not banned, it's just frowned upon.
But when Smercomics is out, I know there's going to be a secondary market. I know there's going to be.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It might be from a Tesla, I know.
No.
The back of it.
No. I'm out. All right. More headlines now from the Thursday edition of the newsletter. There's a story from Axios. I love it. It is so Mingle related. And when a story like this comes out, I send it to Alice, our editor, and I say, Alice, put it on the Mingle page. And please check out what is on the Mingle page. every story that I see that fits the narrative of how there really is more that unites us than divides us, and common purpose and common experience is what we most need to restore the country. Well, this is a story from Axios, which says, I won't read it all, at our most polarized time in living memory, the two parties have never been more unified on ideas. Vice President Harris, former President Trump have vastly different worldviews, but they actually disagree a hell of a lot more about style than substance, if you take them at their word. And then they go through a whole host of issues, whether it's borders, whether it's China, domestic energy production, not regulating AI or over-regulating AI, providing incentives for U.S. manufacturing, support for Israel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a really worthy piece that I hope everybody will read and take a look at. This interested me, as goes Brown. You know the reputation of Brown as being one of the most progressive.
Very progressive.
Yeah, although I have to say, when I did the college tour with the kids, I know I said this to you before, I was really taken with Providence and with Brown.
Providence is wonderful. Brown is wonderful. My memory, though, of touring Brown with my parents, so this was not me, this was little TC. Do you know this? Do you remember what I'm about to tell you?
I'm laughing at my own story.
Okay.
Tell me.
Here's my story.
Yeah.
Co-ed bathrooms.
Oh,
my mother was like,
oh, I'm sure.
And we're done here.
Right.
And we're
I'm
done.
sure.
And this was 30 years ago. So they are, in my mind, that's
I mean, look, before I'd been to Brown, the whole concept of like they have a naked day and
Doesn't
there's
everyone
no
have a naked day?
Yeah, not enough. And no grading and all of these but when I got there and I felt it and I understood it, I had a totally different impression. And I can top your story about co-ed bathrooms.
Yeah? What you got?
Because the day that we took one of ours to Brown, I had lunch with and took a tour of Providence with the late, great mayor of Providence, Buddy Cianci.
Oh, my.
Who you remember was a radio listener of ours.
Of course, when, he was away.
He went away.
And he listened to you.
That is correct. Anyway, Brown is saying that they will not divest from companies with Israeli military ties. And I saw that story and I thought to myself, if you can't get divestment through Brown, you're not getting it through anywhere. That's what I thought. Yeah. The story about CBS News. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Do you?
I don't.
Tony DeCoupil. Does anybody know how to pronounce the anchor from the CBS newscast? Anyway,
I believe it's DeCoupil.
DeCoupil, Dan? Okay.
DeCoupil. I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
That sounds better.
But too difficult to pronounce names. Ta-Nehisi Coates was the guest on the CBS show, brand new book. The questioning from DeCoupil, I'll take Dan's pronunciation, was very pointed, so much so that it's become a matter of controversy. Are we able to roll a snippet? Go ahead. You guys tell me how you want to play this.
Dive into the Israel-Palestine section of the book. It's the largest section of the book. And I have to say, when I read the book, I imagine if I took your name out of it, took away the awards and the acclaim, took the cover off the book, the publishing house goes away, the content of that section would not be out of place in the backpack of an extremist. And so then I found myself wondering, why does Ta-Nehisi Coates, who I've known for a long time, read his work for a long time, very talented, smart guy, leave out so much? Why leave out that Israel is surrounded by countries that want to eliminate it? Why leave out that Israel deals with terror groups that want to eliminate it?
So interestingly, there was blowback. CBS News addressed the incident during a meeting that morning. The Free Press, that's Barry Weiss, included leaked audio recordings that had CBS executives suggesting that the incident did not meet editorial standards after a review of our coverage. They thought it was too pointed and unfair, the questioning of Coates. I found most interesting, because I watched the whole segment a day or two ago, that the other two, including Gayle King, just kind of sat there for 6 minutes and let it happen.
We're not going to get involved with that conversation. I mean, I thought it was both men were I thought civil and smart and worthy.
Yes.
So
can I just add a wee bit of value to this?
Please.
What I noticed in watching was that Gayle King, Oprah's friend and a heavyweight professionally in her own right, sat there with a legal tablet, and on it I could see that she had a lot of notes. And it reminded me that when Talk, my novel, came out and I did the CBS morning show, she was the one who took the lead in interviewing me. And she had clearly read the book. She asked very particular questions in a good way.
Yes.
I was so appreciative.
I remember that.
And so I only was disappointed that we didn't hear more from Gail in that, because Gail, I give her great credit, takes the time to read the books, which I know firsthand.
Yeah.
So there's that. Satoshi, Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah, who is he?
Well, apparently HBO's got a documentary. I've not yet seen it. But there's, they think that they've unmasked an early Bitcoin developer named Peter Todd, and he says, no, it is not me. We have that story.
Satoshi's a better name.
And I need to just say one last thing before we go, and that is that I want to note the passing of Don Bartlett, one half of the duo, the Pulitzer Prize winning duo of Bartlett and Steele. Don Bartlett was a guest on this program, a brilliant guy. They were pioneers, Bartlett and Steele. Do you remember the night at the Bucks County Playhouse, New Hope, Pennsylvania, where we hosted the two of them for a book club?
Absolutely. It was fantastic.
Fantastic.
And gentlemen both.
Right.
Yeah.
And they
news.
They were so far ahead of their time in like the 90s.
Yeah.
And Bill Clinton, running for president, took note of their work and made it sort of a hallmark of his campaign.
Yeah.
There you go. That was fun. Thank you, guys.
Great.
Really, really appreciate all of you. Thank you for listening. Watch us on YouTube and go vote on today's poll question at Smerconish.com. Does Kamala Harris need to do more to distinguish herself from Joe Biden?